Hola mis amigos, we're making key lime squares. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and we're ready to start working on the crust. Here we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 of a cup of Confectioner's powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And we're just going to sift this into our bowl. Here I have 3/4 of a cup or 1 1/2 sticks of butter that is nice and cold, and I've cut it into cubes. And we're going to use a pastry blender to cut the butter right into our dough. Once your crust is nice and crumbly, then you are ready to add it to a well-greased 13 by 9 inch baking dish. And you just want to press your crust evenly into the bottom of the dish. Now that our crust is pressed into the dish, we're ready to pop this into the oven for 20 minutes or until it is nice and golden. And meanwhile, we will begin to work on the filling. For the filling, we're starting off with 1 1/2 cups of sugar, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1/4 of a cup of half and half. You can use pretty much whatever milk you have on hand, including whipping cream. The zest of 1 lime, but I am using key limes, so I am going to be zesting 2 of them. 3/4 of a cup of lime juice. And just to bump the lime flavor up a little bit, I am going to also add 1/2 of a teaspoon of lime extract, but you can totally leave that part out. And I'm just going to give this a blend. And finally, I am going to blend in 4 eggs, 1 egg at a time. This next part is totally optional, but I want it to be obvious that these are lime squares and not lemon squares, so I am going to add a couple drops of green food coloring. Our crust is now out of the oven, so we are ready to pour our filling over the top. Now we're just going to place this back into the oven for 15 to 20 minutes or until the center of the filling is nice and set. See you soon. We're now out of the oven and looking great. So I'm just going to let these completely cool before cutting them into squares, and then they can be served garnished with some Confectioner's powdered sugar sprinkled on top, and then you can store the remaining squares in the refrigerator. Key lime squares. Enjoy, and I'll see you at the dinner table.